Hello, friends. Welcome, everyone. Today we're going to talk about the book Believe in Yourself, written by Nanditha Krishna. Aman was a boy who grew up in a small village. His dream was to do something big, something that would make his name memorable. But as he grew older, he began to feel a lack of direction in his life. He would wake up every morning, go to coaching, watch reels on his phone, and then go to sleep. His days were being wasted, but somewhere inside there was a restlessness, as if something was being lost. It felt as if life was slipping through his hands. One day, his uncle came from the city to the village. He brought a book with him, Believe in Yourself. His uncle said, "You can keep it if you want to read it. It has a lot of power." Aman smiled and kept the book, but thought to himself, who will read such a thick book? But that night, he couldn't sleep. So he just opened the book. He read the first line, "Arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached." And this line seemed to be etched into his heart. From the very next morning, Aman started to make a small change in his daily routine. He would wake up in the morning and read a book by Swami Vivekananda for 10 minutes. Every day he learned something new. Slowly he realized that Swami Vivekananda was not just a sage, he was a revolution of thought. He combined spirituality, nationalism, and humanity, and gave ideas that still feel equally fresh today. Aman learned that spirituality doesn't just mean worship. Swamiji used to say, "You have to grow from the inside out. Nobody can teach you. Nobody can make you spiritual. There is no other teacher but your own soul." That is, listening to the voice of the soul is true spirituality. Hearing this for the first time, Aman asked himself, what do I want? Why am I alive? And this question became a turning point in his life. He began to think that life couldn't just be about getting good grades or a job. He realized that true success comes only when a person connects with themselves, knows their own identity. And this identity doesn't come just from meditating or going to a temple, but from work. Swamiji used to say, "Inaction is death. Work is life." That is, having the courage to do something, no matter how small, is essential. Aman started a small project. He began to teach the village kids in the evening. There were many children in the village who couldn't afford tuition. In the beginning, only 2 or 3 children came, but Aman didn't give up. He held on to Swamiji's words. Take up one idea. Make that one idea your life. Think of it. Dream of it. Live on that idea. Aman started teaching the children with the same energy he was using to teach himself. Slowly, those children started to improve, and Aman also began to feel a new purpose in his life. Now his mornings felt purposeful. His focus had increased, and distractions had decreased. He started to use social media less and read more books. He now understood that strengthening himself was strengthening the world. Swamiji used to say, "They alone live who live for others." One day, a small cultural event was held in the village, where Aman was asked to say something about Swami Vivekananda. He stood on the stage and told his life story, how a life full of emptiness became purposeful because of a book. People clapped, and many came after the event to ask, "Where can we find that book?" Aman then realized how relevant Swamiji's legacy is still today. Today, when everyone is confused, stressed, and suffering from an identity crisis, his words are like a lighthouse that provides direction and light. Aman summarized his words in one sentence. Swami Vivekananda not only taught spirituality, he taught us a way to live for ourselves and for the world. This sentence of his touched the heart of every person present there. Now Aman expanded his work further. He created a small WhatsApp group, Wake Up Youth, where he would share a short quote or thought every morning. In the beginning, there were 10 people, and in a few months, it grew to 500. Now he also held a free session every Sunday, where he explained Swamiji's teachings and life lessons with simple examples. He learned what true nationalism is. It doesn't just come from slogans or flags. It comes from serving the people of your country. Swami Vivekananda had said, "The best way to serve God is to serve the the poor, the weak, and the helpless. Aman embraced this idea in his life. Slowly, Aman himself became an idol for the youth, but there was no arrogance in him. He would say, "I knew nothing. I was just awakened by that one line, 'Arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached.'" His story now began to spread from the village to the city. He was interviewed on TV, and people started saying, "Who says one person can't change the world?" Aman would laugh and say, "I haven't changed the world. I have only changed myself." And then everything else started to change on its own. If anyone can guide today's generation, it is Swami Vivekananda's thoughts, which connect deep spirituality with a modern mindset. He teaches us to know ourselves, recognize our strength, and use it for the welfare of the world. Aman's story shows that if a book, a quote, or a thought is accepted from the heart, life can be given a new direction. The teachings of Swami Vivekananda are not old words. They are still like a GPS for every confused youth that says, "Believe in yourself, and the world will be at your feet." And that is what Aman did. He believed in himself, he found himself, and then he gave light to others. The flame of this light was not going to be extinguished now, because this flame was lit from a legacy, the legacy of Swami Vivekananda. If any youth is still lost today, they should just know this: direction is not outside, it is inside. And if they can connect with themselves, then no path is impossible. Swami Vivekananda had said, "You are the creator of your own destiny." And Aman had created his own destiny through just belief, work, and service. This is the true legacy of Swami Vivekananda, which is not for a single time, but for all time. Now Aman's life was going in a new direction. He had become an inspiration not only for himself, but for others as well. But life is not always a straight line. A new challenge was waiting for him, a challenge that shook his self-confidence. And from here he began to understand another aspect of Swami Vivekananda's teachings. Self-belief is the foundation of everything.
One day, Aman got a big opportunity to participate in an international youth seminar. There, he had to give a speech on spirituality and youth empowerment. This was a very big moment for him. For the first time, he was going abroad from his village, and for the first time, he was going to speak on such a big stage. Everyone was excited, his parents, friends, and villagers. But Aman was afraid from the inside. He started to feel that maybe he was not so qualified. The night before boarding the plane, he was very anxious. He remembered when he was a simple boy who had no direction. Now the responsibility of speaking on such a big platform felt heavy on him. He started telling himself, "Am I worthy of this?" A conflict started within him. That self-confidence that he had slowly built up was now being tested. That night, he took out his old diary, where he had underlined a quote from Swami Vivekananda: "The greatest sin is to think of yourself as weak." This line reminded him that he should not doubt himself. He also read, "Everything is within you. You can do anything and everything." These lines seemed to reawaken his self-confidence. Aman started preparing for the seminar the next day. He repeatedly looked at himself in the mirror and practiced speaking. He would tell himself every time, "I believe in myself, I have a voice, and that voice is important." And this self-talk slowly removed his anxiety. When he arrived at the seminar, he was again a little intimidated by the splendor, the foreign delegates, and the perfect English speakers. But this time, he didn't hide his nervousness. He accepted it and told himself from within, "Yes, I am nervous, but I am not weak." This became his internal support. When it was his turn to speak, he went on stage. There were cameras, lights, and thousands of listeners all around. He took a deep breath and began his speech. He did not use any attractive accents or heavy vocabulary. He just told his story, his journey, his transformation, and how he learned to believe in himself. He said, "Self-confidence is not arrogance. It is self-respect." He gave an example. When we learn to ride a bicycle as a child, we fall many times. but we get up every time because we believe we can learn. This belief is lost somewhere when we grow up. We tell ourselves, I can't. But when we tell ourselves, I will try, that is the beginning of self-confidence. There was such truth in Aman's words that every person could understand. His simplicity and honesty touched hearts. When he finished his speech, the entire hall was filled with applause. Many were so inspired by his words that they later came up to him personally and said, "We had forgotten to believe in ourselves. Your story reminded us." After that event, Aman started getting invitations from many more platforms, but now he liked believing in himself more than fame. He had understood that believing in yourself does not mean you will never fail. It means you will never stop trying. And this was the true teaching of Swami Vivekananda. Once, Aman held a seminar in a government school in a small town. He asked the children, "What do you want to be?" A boy said, "I want to be an IAS officer, but I probably can't." Aman smiled and asked him, "Why can't you?" The boy said, "Because we don't have coaching, our English is not good, and we don't have money at home." Aman told that boy a line right there. Stand up, be bold, be strong, take all the responsibility on your shoulders, and know that you are the creator of your own destiny. Then he said, if you don't believe in yourself, then why should anyone else? If you don't have coaching, there's the internet. If you don't have money, there's hard work. And if you don't have English, you have knowledge. You have everything within you. You just lack self-belief. There was a glow in that boy's eyes. Maybe for the first time, no one thought he was weak. And this was Aman's real purpose, to introduce people to their own strength. Aman himself would wake up every morning and meditate. Then he would stand in front of the mirror and say to himself, I am worthy, I am strong, I can empower others too. This daily self-talk had become his fuel. He now knew that no matter how much success comes in life, if there is no self-confidence, everything is temporary. Once, someone asked Aman, how do you always stay so confident? Aman replied, because I have made myself strong from the inside. Strength does not mean six-pack abs or a loud voice. Strength means moving forward even while accepting your doubts. Aman once said in his speech, self-confidence is at the root of both spiritual growth and practical success. If you consider yourself small, the world will make you even smaller. But if you consider yourself strong, then slowly the world will see you that way too. Now Aman was connected with the youth everywhere, in villages, cities, the country, and abroad. But his favorite work was giving self-confidence to small children. He would give the children a task every time. Look at yourself in the mirror every day and say, I am important, I am intelligent, and I can do everything. This simple practice, which was not written in any book, but was inspired by Swami Vivekananda's teachings, was changing the lives of many children. Today, Aman is not known by his name, but by his goal. This journey was not easy for him, but one thing that kept him standing in every problem was self-confidence. The strength that Swami Vivekananda spoke of is not created in a gym, it is created inside. And when there is strength inside, no power in the world can stop you. Aman's story says that believing in yourself is not arrogance, it is necessary. Because if you don't know yourself, if you don't accept yourself, then why would anyone else? Swami Vivekananda had said, you have to believe in yourself before you believe in God, and Aman had fully lived this saying in his life. Now his dream is to make every youth so strong that they can say to themselves, I can. And this strength, this belief, is the most essential medicine for today's aimless society. Because when a person believes in himself, only then can he change the world.
Now, Amon's story had reached a point where people had started to see him as a spiritual person. His Instagram and WhatsApp statuses had inspirational quotes. He meditated in the morning and spoke about inner strength in every session. Some people even started calling him Baba. But Amon knew that spirituality doesn't just mean silence, meditation, and getting lost in books. True spirituality is in action, in work. And he had learned this from Swami Vivekananda's teachings. Spirituality is not an escape. It is power, and it demands work. One day he was invited to a youth leadership conference. All the speakers there were very educated. Some were from IIMs, some had corporate success stories. Amon was a little nervous because his background was not as impressive as theirs, but from within he knew that whatever he said would have the voice of the soul. He came on stage and said, "Today we often misunderstand spirituality. We think it's something to do sitting in a cave or confined to a temple. But for me, spirituality means recognizing the strength within oneself and working for society. This is what I have learned from Swami Vivekananda." He said, "Once I also thought that life is just about giving peace to oneself. But then one of Vivekananda Ji's sayings changed my thinking. Be spiritual, but don't forget to be practical." He said, "I'll tell you a true story, my own story. When I was teaching children in my village, there came a time when I felt I should leave all this and go to a quiet place to meditate. I felt that the outside world was too complicated. But then I remembered a quote from Vivekananda Ji. This world is a gymnasium where we come to make ourselves strong. That day I understood. I don't have to run away. I have to fight, but with spiritual power." In that conference, there were many youths who were using spirituality as an escape. That is, the world is bad, people don't understand, so meditate and be separate. Amon opened the eyes of all of them. He said, "If Swami Vivekananda had also stayed in the Himalayas and meditated, would we remember him today? No, he transformed meditation into action. He used to say, 'They alone live who live for others.' And that's why he gave that speech in Chicago that gave a new identity to the whole of India. Amon conducted an activity in that seminar. He told all the youth, 'Close your eyes and think about what you want to be.' Then he said, 'Now open your eyes and tell me, is that dream only for you, or is it also for the welfare of others?' 70% of the people became silent because they realized that their goals were only self-centered. Amon said, "Spiritual growth and leadership mean recognizing your inner potential and using it for the welfare of others. If your spirituality only brings peace within you but doesn't have an impact outside, then it is incomplete." Then he shared a personal incident. There was a flood in his village once. There was a lot of damage, and many people's houses were submerged. Amon was also worried. First, he started thinking, "What can I do?" Then a voice came from within him, "Arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached." That very day, he gathered some friends, made an appeal for help on social media, and collected relief materials for 1 lakh rupees in 2 days. He worked hard to give rations, medicines, and temporary shelter to the flood victims. And that was the time when he realized that the real test of spirituality happens when the situation is difficult. When you work by considering the pain of others as your own pain, only then does real internal growth happen. Amon now understood that a country like India doesn't just need educated leaders, it needs spiritually established, action-oriented leaders, because education without compassion is dangerous, and spirituality without work is worthless. Once someone asked Amon, "Aren't you ever afraid that you might fail?" Amon smiled and replied, "I'm not afraid, because I have associated myself with the work, not with the result. I know that if my work is true, then its effect will definitely be seen, whether today or tomorrow." Then he said that he has now started an initiative, Youth for Change. In this, he goes to small towns and villages and makes children and youth aware, to awaken leadership qualities, purpose, and the feeling of social service. He starts every session with a quote, "Every soul is potentially divine. The goal is to manifest this divinity by work, worship, and knowledge." He teaches the children that worship doesn't just happen in a temple, it happens in one's work too. If you do cleanliness, do it with full devotion. If you study, do it with full honesty.
This is the karma yoga that Vivekananda taught. Aman has now started a center in his village where meditation, reading, and skills are taught. There is a daily activity there, a spiritual work circle, where every participant has to do a task that benefits someone else, whether it's teaching someone, helping an elderly person, or planting a tree. On one wall of that center, this quote of Swami Vivekananda is written: "We want iron muscles, steel nerves, and a mind that does not waver." And this wall seems to remind everyone that spirituality means strength, and that strength is incomplete until it is used for society. Now, Aman is working at the national level. He runs youth awareness campaigns in collaboration with the government and NGOs, but he has not left his simplicity. He wakes up every morning, meditates, and asks himself one question: what have I done for someone today? Aman's story teaches us that spirituality is not escapism. It is the armor of the battlefield. It doesn't make us run away. It gives us the strength to fight. And when this power is in the hands of the youth, then he can not only change himself, but can also change the direction of the whole country. When Swami Vivekananda said, "Give me 100 strong youth and I will transform India," he was talking about such youth who are awake from within and hardworking from the outside. Aman has become one of them today, and his story is enough to tell every confused, scared, and lost youth of today that the real power is within us. The only need is to recognize that power and use it in the right direction. Only then will spirituality be true, only then will leadership be meaningful, and only then will India's future be bright. Now, Aman's story was not just limited to a village or a city. He was now connecting with the youth across the country. His goal was to connect the youth with self-confidence, work, and spirituality. But once something happened that taught him another deeper aspect of Swami Vivekananda's teachings: religious tolerance and the power of unity.
One day, Aman was called to a city in Uttar Pradesh. He had a seminar there, Youth and National Unity. People of many religions lived in this city, but recently there had been some communal tension. People of two communities had clashed with each other. The matter was whether a DJ was played in the temple or not. A small problem had taken a big form. When Aman reached there, the atmosphere was a bit tense. Before the seminar started, the organizers told him, "Aman Bhai, be careful. Don't say anything. The atmosphere is very sensitive." Aman just smiled and said, "I will only speak from the heart, and the heart's words will reach the heart." The hall was full for the seminar. Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, Christians were all sitting. Aman went on stage and looked at the audience for a while. Then he said, "Today, I will tell you a story, not of someone else, but my own story." He said, "When I was a child, my best friend's name was Arif. He was a Muslim, and I was a Hindu, but we never felt any difference between us. We used to go to school together, play cricket together, and eat at each other's houses. I would have iftar with him during Ramadan, and he would share sweets with me on Diwali. We didn't even know that religion could be a wall. Then, as we grew up, society started teaching us, they are different. Keep your distance from them." But the respect for Arif in my heart never decreased, because I had read a saying of Swami Vivekananda: "We believe not only in universal toleration, but we accept all religions as true." Hearing these words of Aman, the audience felt a little relaxed. Then he said, "If someone asks me, what is the difference between spirituality and religion, then I will say, religion gives us identity, and spirituality gives us connection. And Swami Vivekananda teaches us this connection, a connection from heart to heart." He referred to Vivekanandaji's Chicago speech when he said, "I am proud to belong to a religion which has taught the world both tolerance and universal acceptance." Acceptance. Then the whole world heard for the first time that India is a country that accepts everyone, rejects no one. Aman told the youth sitting there, "You love your religion. This is absolutely correct, but it does not mean that it is necessary to prove others' religion wrong. If you are truly religious, then you should be able to respect others' religion." He gave a practical example. There are many types of chargers to charge a mobile. Everyone's design is different, but the work is the same: to give power. Similarly, the way of every religion can be different: temple, mosque, church, or gurudwara, but the goal is the same: love,
compassion, and humanity. After that seminar, a boy came to him. His name was Shakil. He said, "Brother, until today, I used to think that maybe Hindus consider us low. But after listening to your words, it seems that everything was just an illusion of our minds." Aman held his hand and said, "Brother, if we look for hatred in each other's eyes, then we will see that. But if we look for respect, then minds will also meet." Then a few weeks later, Aman took another big step. He organized a unity week in his village. People of all religions were invited to this. Every day, the culture and food of one community were celebrated. One day, there was bhajan in the temple. The next day, qawwali in the mosque. The third day, prayer in the church. And the fourth day, service in the gurudwara. In the beginning, people were a little hesitant, but slowly the ice began to melt. The people who used to look at each other with suspicion were now sitting and eating together and playing with the children. Aman said from the stage, "True devotion is not in division, it is in unity. Respect is the real religion." Aman had transformed Swami Vivekananda's thoughts, not only in theory, but also in action. He had learned from books, but he had lived it in his life. He believed that if we can teach the youth that the soul of every human being is divine, then there will be no conflict in the name of religion. One day, his old friend said, "You've become a complete sage now." Aman smiled and replied, "No, I have only become a human now. I love religion, but I keep humanity first." He would say, "If you are truly religious, then you should not have this arrogance that my religion is great." Swami Vivekananda had said, "Sectarianism and its horrible offspring, bigotry, have long poisoned this beautiful earth. And now it is time to change this. This is the real patriotism, believing in unity." Now Aman's work had reached the international level. He was invited by a United Nations team to speak on interfaith harmony. The thing he said there became a headline. Religion should be a window to God, not a wall between people. Returning to India, he started an interfaith youth group, Soldiers of Unity. In this, volunteers from all religions, Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, Christians, used to do social service together. Sometimes they helped at orphanages. Sometimes they did relief work in flood-affected villages. Sometimes blood donation camps. And everyone would say in one voice, "We are different in religion, but one in mind." People now started calling Aman not just an inspirational speaker, but a peacemaker. But there was no pride in him. He would say, "I am nothing, just a carrier of one of Vivekananda's thoughts." The thought that says humanity is the greatest religion. Today, Aman's story is an inspiration for thousands of youth. How a village boy who found direction in a book is now connecting millions of hearts. He has shown that true spirituality is complete when we see everyone equally. If we really want peace in this world, then we must first break the walls of hatred from our own hearts. And these walls are not broken by education, but by compassion. The day we see every human being above their caste, religion, and language, that day we will truly live Vivekananda's India.
Aman still wakes up every morning and meditates, but his focus is no longer limited to just internal peace. He asks himself every day, "Have I done something to connect someone today?" And when the answer is yes, he understands that this is the real worship. Swami Vivekananda had said, "The more we go out and do good for others, the more our heart will become pure and God will be in them." And Aman's life has now become a living example of that saying. This is the power of religious tolerance. This is Aman's story, and this is Vivekananda Ji's true legacy that is seen not in books, but in action. Now, many things had changed in Aman's life. That simple village boy had now become a true leader who was raising his voice for the youth on national and international platforms. But still one of his habits never changed. Doing every work with a purpose and asking himself every day, "Have I done something for someone today?" One day, Aman received a call from a big media house. They said that they wanted to make a documentary on Aman's journey. Aman refused without any hesitation. When asked for the reason, Aman smiled and replied, "I am not doing what I am doing to show it. I just have to do my duty. Everything else is God's will." People were quite surprised by his answer. In today's era, where everyone posts on social media after doing work, this selfless attitude of Aman was different, and this was his speciality. This feeling in him came from a very deep teaching of Swami Vivekananda and Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Perform your duty without attachment to the results. The real test of this thought happened when Aman launched a big campaign in his city, Read and Teach. The purpose of this campaign was to connect poor children with education and to make educated youth teachers. He created many volunteers, set up small centers in villages, and started working at the ground level himself. In the beginning, the enthusiasm was very high. People joined, the media published news, and praise came on social media. But within a few months, problems started to come. Some volunteers stopped working, some asked for money, and some said, no effect of the work is being seen. The children are not interested. Aman started to get worried. He thought, I'm trying so hard, but why are the results not coming? One day he went to the temple tower and sat there. There were tears in his eyes. He asked God, am I doing something wrong? Just then he remembered an old line from his diary that he had written from Swami Vivekananda's teachings. Every work has to go through these three stages: ridicule, opposition, and then acceptance. Those who think ahead of their time are likely to be misunderstood. And then he remembered that immortal teaching of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Do your work, do not think about the fruit. That evening he made a promise to himself. From now on, I will only work without expecting any results. If my work is true, then its effect will definitely be seen sometime, whether I see it or not. This attitude of his brought his strength back. Now he started working with the same wholeheartedness as before, but now without any hope of getting anything. When a child left school, he would not be disappointed, but would look for the next child. When a volunteer left, he would train new volunteers. He had understood, we have not come here to account for our success. We have come here to perform our duty with honesty. Slowly his effects started to be seen, but now it was not his priority. Within a few months, many children started getting good marks in school. Some got scholarships, some themselves became small teachers. But for Aman, this was just another step. His focus was now only on the work, not on the fruit. Once an NGO said that they wanted to give him a big award, but the condition was that he would introduce himself as the founder and CEO. Aman refused directly. He said, I am not a founder, just a karma yogi. I don't need labels. I have to work. Some people were surprised by his words, but many youth were inspired. Now whoever came to Aman, he would teach them this. Work selflessly. The work that you do with your whole heart, its fruit is never wasted, whether you see it or not. He once explained to a child by showing him a stone sculpture. This statue is very beautiful, but to make it, the sculptor has run the chisel 1,000 times. The effect of every blow has been seen in the final form. Similarly, every work of ours, whether small or big, becomes a part of a good picture of the future. One day, a girl came to Aman. Her name was Reena. She said, Brother, I have been teaching in your campaign for a year, but many times it feels that no special change is happening. Am I doing something wrong? Aman smiled and replied, Reena, if you can awaken this thought in a child's mind that studying is important, then you have changed their life. Change is not always seen from the outside. Many times it is happening silently inside. Then he told her that line from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, you do your work, it is in your hands. The fruit is not in your hands. And a new realization and strength came in Reena's eyes. Now Aman runs every one of his initiatives with this thought. Not results, just responsibility. Whenever he starts a new plan, he first reminds himself, I am just a medium. It is my job to do, and it is God's job to give the fruit. He had a big line written on the wall of his center. Selfless service is the purest form of worship. And below it was written, inspired by Swami Vivekananda and Gita. Aman's story was now making thousands of youth karma yogis. He was teaching everyone that every person in the world can make a difference if they consider work as worship and give up expectations. Even today, if someone asks him, why don't you need so much recognition? Then his answer is simple. Recognition is not needed. Satisfaction is. Whatever I am doing is the voice of my soul. And when the soul is satisfied, everything else becomes secondary. Swami Vivekananda had said, the less you think of yourself, the more you will do for others. And Aman had embraced this saying in his life. He once told a friend, work is only true when it is free from expectation. Just as a mother serves her child without any hope of getting anything, similarly, serve society. Only then will it be considered service.